let's go ahead and get this started. We're going to talk about some motivation, we're going to talk about some meditation, and we're going to talk about some inspiration today. Like I was going to say, if it's not one of the three, I don't want it. And so, how do we start getting ourselves into that kind of mentality where we start utilizing our challenges? We start putting ourselves in a place where we believe in ourselves, where we start fighting our battles for ourselves, where we start overcoming the things that would hold us back. And so we start to liberate our minds, we start to liberate our beings when we start to truly sit down inside of who we are. That's when we start to recognize that putting ourselves in a place where we truly focus inwards, where our abilities from the outside no longer have the ability to crush you. And so if you're asking yourself today, how can I start to do that? How can I start putting myself in that place? How can I start to manifest and to start to overcome and start to achieve my goals and my dreams? Then we got to look at what our goals are, what our dreams are, and what it is that we actually want to achieve. And a lot of people, they stop themselves before that starts to become possible. And they hold themselves back from that ability. They hold themselves back from who they are on the inside and how they focus. See, when we're focusing on overcoming challenges, we're not wondering what's going on around us. We're worrying about what's going on inside of us. And so, what kind of challenges are you facing off against today? What type of places do you go? What type of people do you manifest in your light and in your being and in your focus? And it's what goes on inside that matters the most. It's what goes on within the person that we are, within the foundation that we build, that truly matters. And each of us have different viewpoints. We have different ups and different downs and different valleys, and we really sit down to think at that level. We sit down to allow ourselves to gain that kind of strength, to gain that kind of ability, to gain that kind of mentality. And a lot of times we forget that each of us struggles. Each of us has things to work through. Each of us has things that we're striving to work on. And how are you utilizing your challenges? How are you utilizing your mentality? And so I want to visit that a little bit today. I want to visit that thought process that it takes to go and take the challenges that we face off against on a daily basis and to start to look at them. And so if you're looking at how challenges in your past might have affected you, then you have to look at how to overcome those as well. You have to allow how to work through them and to allow yourself to make it past those type of things. And it's only when we start to give ourselves that kind of permission that going inwards starts to happen. And so, what are you focused into today? Some of us might be focused on our families, our companions, our professions. And so, when we start to visit those situations, when we start to put ourselves in those kind of abilities, when we start to put ourselves in those kind of mentalities, we start asking ourselves those type of questions. And if yet for a minute I could open your mind to that capability I could open your mind to the ability that you can believe in yourself, that you can believe in your dreams and your abilities to be who you are on the inside, then it's worth it. Then you're worth it. And each individual faces off against challenges like that. We face off against the things that we ask ourselves, the places that we go, the people that we associate with. We ask ourselves, is this the type of person that I want to have around me? And sure, it's easy to say you deserve to be around that person, but what happens when you're around people that are not bringing you up? How can you start to get your mentality into a place where, say, in your profession, you're doing the best you can? And are we picking the right professions? Are we picking the right masteries? Are we picking the right ability? Are we truly seeing at a level where we see the future as us as a part of it, as us with the ability to overcome it, to grow through it, to be part of it? Or are we just flying solo? Are we in such a way that we don't feel it's necessary to know that? So let's go ahead and start visiting a little bit about what I mean by this. If you close your eyes and you imagine what it would be like 2 years from now, can you see that far? Can you see that page? Are you focused to that level? Are you giving yourself that place? Are you giving yourself that kind of ability? And a lot of times we say we want to enjoy just the moment, and we do want to enjoy the moment, as well as be able to see where the bearings are going. And how we can use them, and how we can grow through them. See, that's the thing. Each of you is striving for what you know inside of yourselves. You're striving for that kind of light, that kind of ability, that kind of manifestation. When do we start to see that we are the wealth in the universe? That our mentalities are the wealth, and our abilities are the wealth, and our focus is the wealth. See, that's what I'm talking about today. I'm talking about a level of focus to the point where you create a foundation inside of yourself, where you create an ability for you to overcome your challenges. And so when you're writing stuff down, what is it that you're putting down in front of yourself? What is it that you're working on? What is it that you're working with? Now, if you put yourself in a place where you're vibrating with that, where you're vibrating with that kind of understanding, with that kind of being, with that kind of purpose, it truly gives you life, gives you purpose to see your path, to see your journey, to see your being. When you're focused at that level, that's when the tools start to open up. That's when the ability inside starts to open up. And so, are we doing that? Are we truly sitting at that level where negativity has the ability to move out of the way, where positivity has the ability to move in your direction? So, let's look at Newton's third law for yet a moment. For each action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Yet, are you using your actions and your reactions, and how are you reacting to the situations that you're going through? Are you putting yourself in a place where you're positive? Are you putting yourself in a place where you're utilizing your mentality? So let's go ahead and start heading inwards. Let's start asking ourselves the second part of this question. Is what I'm doing today, is it meditation? And how can you know that you're in meditation? How can you know that you're in a place where you're on your path, you're in your grind, you're in your professions? With this kind of mentality, the world starts to open up to you. The student inside starts to work. The person inside of who you are starts to vibrate. The ability inside of who you are starts to manifest. And so, how do we utilize that kind of energy? How do we utilize that kind of emotion? How do we allow the E in emotion to apply to your emotions, to your direction, to your ability to be who you are on the inside, to allow you to believe in who you are? That's really what we're seeking for, right? We're seeking for the knowledge that we have inside to overcome our pains, fears, and emotions, yeah? Wouldn't you say? So when we sit there and we think about it, we act upon it, we vibrate it. What is it that you're truly doing? Are you heading inwards? Are you using your questions to overcome? Are you using your self-honesty inside of you to light up this world? Are you putting yourself on a page where your ability inside has that ability, that you're so focused on your inwards journey that you have the ability to study and give yourself that place, just a little bit of time to study you each day, just a little bit of time to be inside of you each day, to be inside of the light inside of you. Wouldn't you say? You're a being within the universe. When do you sit down, even though sometimes we feel like we're in darkness, sometimes we feel like we're not making it through the other side? And when we see the other side, that's when we recognize it's worth it, my friends. When you truly see what you can do, what you can achieve, what you can light up in this world with, then that person inside starts to open up. That level of focus starts to become a student. Your life starts to become a path, and your journey starts to fill its space. And so, how do we get down at that level? How do we really start to spend time inside of ourselves? How do we start to put our being in such a place where light comes from within? See what I'm saying? Isn't it great to be a student inside of yourselves, inside of your path, your journey, inside of your purpose? And that's what it really takes. It takes that kind of action to get motion moving. That kind of action to be who you are on the inside. To be the light that you have that nobody else can stop. See, are you there? Are you truly sitting inside of yourself, in your professions, in your homes, in your foundations? And that's when you start to truly grind, and that's when things really truly start to happen, was when the energy gets put in motion. Think about that for a minute. Emotion. Where are you applying that knowledge? Are you allowing that student to gain that knowledge inside? Are you allowing that student to be that light inside? Are you allowing that student to gain from those stories inside of themselves? And so, as a student sits inside of a classroom, so does patience need to be. Patience needs to be within you. It needs to work with you. You need to understand that not everything is always going to be perfect. It wasn't meant to be. It was meant to be able to overcome and to understand. So are you gaining those lessons inside of yourself? Are you giving yourself that place to be who you are, where you go to a point where the light inside starts to radiate? where knowledge opens up, to where the being inside lights up, to where the purpose has a place inside of the path, to where the challenges can be decompressed, to where you give yourself that kind of time, to where you give yourself that kind of place, to where you give yourself that kind of focus, that kind of purpose. And how does it start to light up at that level? Does it come from what you're studying? Does it come from the places that you go? Does it come from giving yourself stillness? Does it come from singing, writing, drawing, art? Where do you get that place of decompression? From lifting weights to martial arts to the ability for you to sit down at that level and to just slow down inside. Slow down for your being. The both fast and slow are the same thing. Sometimes that's the place where we find ourselves. Sometimes it's in that place that we find the growth, that we overcome the pains, that we get through the fears and the emotions. And at that point, we gain the ability to be who we are. Are we focusing to that level where we give ourselves that ability, where we see to that being, where we see to that purpose, where we see that place inside of our paths, where we gain access to that being who is a human being? When do we start to use that focus and that knowledge? When do we start to become the student in our lives? When do we start to ask these types of questions? When do we start to sit down at this type of level? When do we start to get down with our grind? When do we start to believe in ourselves? Believe in our paths, our journeys, our purpose. And it's on that level that we light up in this world. It's on that level that we become who we are, where people seek you for you. When you know yourself, you know your self-worth, you know your self-value. Okay? That's when the light around you shines, because what's shining is coming from within you. So are you focused? Do you use your knowledge? Do you use your purpose? Are you using your path? Are you using your journey? Have you gotten to that page of that chapter, of that book, of your life? How beautiful it is to have challenge, to overcome challenge, to know that you can do it, that you can achieve it, that you might just be able to pick yourself up inside, that the vibration on the outside has the ability to move positivity into your direction, into your being, into your purpose, into your path, and into your journey. When we start to do that for ourselves, and I mean truly for ourselves, start to use that kind of self-honesty, that kind of self-being, that kind of self-belief, it only takes you giving yourself just a little bit of time each day. A little bit of time goes a long way. Are you doing that for yourself? Have you asked yourself that type of question? Have you started to just put a little bit of self-care into you? What a blessing we are. We have. What a blessing lights up within, lights within the purpose, lights up within the path, within the journey. And so let's go ahead and start using that. Let's say that other people see our reflection as a reflection of meditation, a level of vibration, where others just might see it. They might feel it. They might be ready to achieve it. They might be ready for this message, and they might see that it isn't versus somebody else. It's versus what you put your mind to, what you put your ability to, where your vibration comes from. So are you focused to that level where you believe in yourself? And if you are you connecting it? Are you putting your focus and your knowledge in such a way that other people recognize you as a reflection of discipline in a form of inspiration? See, what I'm talking about is when you are who you are, when you go through the challenges that you go through, when you're on the path that you're on, when you give yourself the place inside of you to believe in you, when you give it to that person that you want to become, that journey that you want to go on, it's inside of yourself that it takes it. It's inside of yourself that it becomes it. It's inside of yourself that it starts to light up. And are we focused to that level? Are we able to give ourselves that place? Are we able to get to that level of journey where we utilize this path that you're on to where other people see you putting your whole self into it? Have you put your whole self into something before? Have you put your whole self into a place where your focus and your knowledge became a place of discipline? You know, we do this in school. We sit there until we get our 12th grade or until we continue past that. And what about the past that? What about after all of those? What about what's going on inside of you? What about the challenges that you might be facing off against today? How do we start to get to that place where we start to see the universe use us as a reflection of inspiration? That, my friends, is why I ask myself every day, is what I'm doing today. Is it motivation? Is it meditation? Is it inspiration? If it's not one of the three, I don't want it. And that is the reason why. Because what we believe, what we achieve, what we manifest comes from within your mentality. So, when do we start? Can you start today? Yeah. Can you start now? Yeah. Does it take big steps to get there? Nah, just one at a time, my friends. Find a way to be inspiration. Find a way to uplift other people. Find a way to get them to believe in themselves and to want to believe that they can do things that are amazing and that they can achieve things that are amazing. And watch as they light up because you came and you were on your journey. After all, we all started one. We're all on a journey, my friends. Do we want to have people around us that bring us joy, that bring us peace, that bring us happiness? Yes. And the first place we start is inside of ourselves. We start inside of our being. We start inside of recognizing our purpose and our journey, and that our paths are worth it. As I start to get closer and closer to using the whole self in these speeches, starting to recognize that the block has left, that what is going on inside is opening up, that this part of recognizing that this thing is worth it, that you are worth it. It comes from within yourselves, it comes within your beliefs in you. And it's a beautiful thing and a beautiful place. And beautiful things happen when you achieve self-esteem. When you start to have that kind of stamina, you start to have that kind of endurance, you start to have that kind of effect in the universe. We need people that are inspiration in this world. We need people that uplift and look from multiple angles. We need people that believe that they can do things that are amazing and achieve things that others called impossible. You know, every once in a while, you hear that in Olympics, someone broke a record. Before that record was broken, they didn't know there was that possibility to go that far. Are you able to believe in yourself to the point where you're breaking records? Where you're lighting up in this world, where you're finding your purpose on your path, on your journey, in your being, in your level of understanding, and your vibration to bring yourself to the place where you believe in who you are. That's what I'm talking about, my friends. I just want to leave you all with blessings. I want you to see that you are an inspiration when you apply yourself to that point where you become that. As I close, I want to say blessings, blessings, blessings. As always, namaste.